everybody. Welcome to another chapter of the Lost Years of Merlin. I am your host, Hannah, and we are reading chapter 34 tonight called Elixir. In the last chapter, Merlin met Dagda, and he went through all of the songs with him, and he told him that he's meant for wondrous things. So we're still talking with Dagda, and we'll read chapter 34 called Elixir. So, Dagda's deep eyes turned to the trunk of the tree, sparkling with diamonds of dew. He followed the column higher and higher to the gnarled roots that melted into the mist far above. His gaze lingered there momentarily, as if he could see through the mist into the lands beyond. At last he spoke. Now for your friend, bound to you by love as well as by blood. He reached for Rhea, lying on the vaporous ground with his uninjured arm. She seemed so still, so silent, the color drained from her skin as well as her garb of leaves. My stomach churned in anguish, for I suspected that her body had grown too cold for even the greatest of the spirits to revive. Hadn't Query told me that Dagda, for all his power, could not bring back to life someone who had died? Ever so gently, he lifted her limp hand, closing his eyes as he did so. He seemed to be listening for something far away. Then, without opening his eyes, he gave me a command. You may release her, Merlin. I hesitated, suddenly fearing that this would surely mean her death. Once her spirit had left me, once it had flown, I could never hope to see her alive again. As much as I yearned to hear her laugh again, still more I feared that by letting her go I would lose her forever. Merlin, repeated Dagda, it is time. At last I released her. Deep within, I could feel her spirit stirring subtly. Then it began to flow out of me, at first like a trickle of water, gathering strength, until finally it felt like a river bursting through a dam. My sightless eyes brimmed with tears, for I knew that whether or not Rhea survived in mortal form, she and I would never be utterly close again. Slowly, very slowly, I exhaled. Shreds of mist knitted themselves in the air between us, creating a shimmering bridge linking my chest and hers. The bridge hovered, glowing, for barely an instant, before fading away completely. Just then I noticed the gash on the side of her head. It started closing, healing from within. As the skin pulled together, the bloodstains, now more brown than red, evaporated from her curly hair, her neck, and her suit of woven vines. Color began to flow into her cheeks. Her garb softened as the green vitality returned to every leaf and stem. Rhea's forefinger trembled. Her neck straightened. Then, at last, her gray-blue eyes opened, along with Dagda's. Gazing up into the roots draped with mistletoe, she drew a halting breath of her own. Turning her face toward Dagda, she smiled, even as she burst into speech. You live with the tree, just like I do. Her bell-like laughter rang out. I joined her, while Dagda erupted with a full, resonant laugh of his own. As he shook with mirth, the great tree, too, began to sway on the misty plain. Droplets of dew fell from above, spinning and shining in the air. Even Trouble, perched on my shoulder, piped a joyous whistle. It seemed to me that the universe itself had joined in our laughter. Her eyes alight, Rhea sat up and swung her head toward me. Merlin, you did it. You saved me. No, Dagda. No, Dagda saved you. Not without your help, young man. The elder pushed a few silver hairs off his brow. By holding so lovingly, her spirit as well as her body, you kept her from truly dying, long enough I could still revive her. His gaze moved to Rhea. And you helped, too. I did? The old man nodded slowly. Your spirit is a radiant one, Rhiannon, exceptionally radiant. You possess a force of life that is as powerful as the one I placed in one of the treasures of Vinkyra, the Orb of Fire. Rhea's cheeks flushed. I recalled the glittering orange sphere that I had rescued from the ruins of the shrouded castle. It has something to do with healing, doesn't it? Healing, yes, but of the soul, not the body. For the Orb of Fire, in the hands of someone wise, can rekindle hope and joy, even the will to live. Dagda turned to me. You, Merlin, know more than anyone how bright the spirit of your sister shines. I realized that I could still feel, deep within me, a touch of Rhea's spirit. A bit of my sister had remained with me, and I knew always would. Yes, declared the frail, silver-haired man. Your training as a wizard has only begun, yet embracing the wisdom as well as the spirit of your sister has been part of it, an important part. My 8th song, you could say. Yes. I looked at Rhea. Ayla tried to tell me, but I didn't understand. Now, though, I think I have a glimmer. She touched her amulet. Or you could say, an instinct. Treble made a clucking sound that resembled a laugh. Passing my hand through the mist rising from beneath us, I searched the face of Dagda. I have an instinct that Finkyra is my true home, and yet I have another instinct that it's not. Which one is right? The old man gave a sad smile. Ah, you are learning. Just as true love often holds both joy and grief, true instinct often mixes contrary feelings. In this case, though, I can help you. Humans are not meant to live long on Finkyra. As much as you have come to feel at home here, you must one day return to Earth. You may stay a while longer, but you still have work left to do. But ultimately, you must leave. I bit my lip. Can't you just allow me to stay? Compassion in his eyes, Dagda shook his head. I could, but I will not. The worlds must remain apart, for each has its own fabric, its own spirit that must be honored. He sighed gravely. That is why I am forced to wrestle with Rita Gower on so many fronts. He would pull apart the fabrics of Otherworld, Earth, and Finkyra in order to weave them into his own twisted design. He wants only to rule them all as his kingdom. Is that why the Finkyrans lost their wings? Asked Rhea, glancing at the swirling clouds. They forgot how to honor the fabric? Your instincts are indeed strong, Rhiannon. You are on the right track, but the rest you must discover for yourself. Dagda, may I ask you something? I hesitated, searching for the right words. There's a prophecy. It says that only a child of human blood can defeat Rita Gower or his servants. Is that true? And if it is the human child one of us? The elder ran his hand over a sprig of mistletoe hanging nearby. Though I cannot tell you all you wish to know, I can say this. The prophecy carries much weight, yet while it was your sister who vanquished Baelor, the only person who can stop Rita Gower in Finkyra is you. I tried to swallow, but my throat had tightened again. Suddenly I remembered the death shadow plunging down the throat of Ellen. When I spoke, it was in a whisper. If I must die fighting Rita Gower, you must tell me this. Is there any way at all, that our mother can still live? Rhea turned anxiously from me to Dagda. Treble paced across my shoulder, fluttering his wings. The old man drew a long breath. You still have time, though not much. Only a few hours remain before the moon's 4th quarter expires, and when it does, so will your mother. The elixir, I pleaded. Can you give it to us? Dagda reached down to a burly branch. Carefully, he touched one of the dewdrops with the end of his finger. As it came free, it covered his fingertip with a thin, glistening cup. Using his other fingers, he removed the cup. It sat upright in the palm of his hand, like a tiny crystalline vial. He winced slightly. At the same instant, the little vial filled with a single drop of red fluid, Dagda's own blood. When the vial brimmed full, its mouth sealed tight. There now. He spoke thickly, as if he had been weakened by his act. Quivering slightly, he handed the vial to me. Take it. Even as I opened my leather pouch and placed the elixir inside, I felt Treble's talons digging into my shoulder. The hawk nuzzled his soft feathers against my neck. Dagda knew my question before I could ask. No, Merlin, he cannot join you. Your friend Treble gave his mortal life at the shrouded castle to spare yours. He belongs here now. The hawk whistled faintly. As the mist billowed around us, the gaze from his yellow-rimmed eyes met my own. We looked at each other for the last time. I'll miss you, Treble. The bird nuzzled my neck again, then slowly moved away. Dagda's expression, too, showed pain. It may not lighten your heart now, Merlin, but I believe that one day, in another land, You will feel the grip of a different bird's talons on your shoulder. I don't want a different bird. I understand. The elder stretched his one able hand toward me, brushing my cheek. You must take separate paths now, I am afraid, though no one knows all the turns those paths may take. Not even you? Not even me. Dagda lifted the mantle of mistletoe from my shoulder. Go now, my children, and be brave. Trouble's final screech sounded in my ear, even as the swirling mist swept over me like a wave, swallowing everything. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 34. Tomorrow we have chapter 35. And yeah, so we'll read that one tomorrow, and I think it's the last chapter. So join me tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Have a wonderful night.